welcome to the deep dive. There's this question about fruit that seems, well, pretty straightforward on the surface, right? But the more you dig into it, the more complex it gets, especially if you're thinking about glucose levels or maybe diabetes or just your general metabolic health. You've probably heard a lot conflicting advice, haven't you? Well, we've really dove deep into some sources that honestly are pretty eye-opening. They challenge a lot of the conventional wisdom and reveal some surprising things about how our bodies actually process fruit. So our mission today is to cut through some of that confusion. Let's get to the core of why fruit is often feared. And, what science really says, you're going to get a shortcut to being, well, really well informed. And it might even change how you look at your plate.
Absolutely. And just a little hint up front. The main takeaway might surprise you. Often the problem isn't really the fruit itself. It's usually something else going on inside your body.
Okay, let's unpack that then.
Mhm.
Because it's incredibly common, right? Even doctors sometimes advise against certain fruits if you're dealing with high glucose or pre-diabetes, diabetes, or
Mhm.
even things like high triglycerides, that's a fat in your blood, or being overweight, or having a fatty liver.
Yeah, definitely.
And the sources we looked at, they list the usual suspects, the ones
Mm.
banana or plantain, depending where you are, mango, pineapple, watermelon, melon, grapes, papaya, oranges, even apples sometimes.
Mhm.
The arguments are always the same. Oh, they're too sweet, too much fructose, too much sugar, or just plain they raise blood sugar.
Mm.
And we've heard the stories, maybe even lived them. I eat a mango or a banana, and boom, my glucose shoots up to 300 or 400 after a couple of hours.
And that's where things get really interesting. Because this widespread idea, this prohibition, it's often based on a pretty significant misunderstanding. These rules often come from not quite getting how our bodies handle metabolism, especially the sugars in whole natural fruit.
Okay, so how do we understand it better? Our sources had this really great comparison involving two different people. That seems key.
It really clarifies things. So imagine two people, both 50 years old, and we give them the exact same amount of grapes on an empty stomach. Important detail. Okay, first up is person A. Let's say this person is metabolically optimal. That means no high glucose, no high blood pressure, they're not taking medications, their uric acid levels are good, they look athletic, eat well, and critically, there's no excess fat built up in their liver or their muscle cells.
Got it. Healthy profile.
Exactly. So for person A, when they eat those grapes, the natural sugars, fructose included, they get converted into glucose, so pancreas just easily produces the right amount of insulin. No big deal for it. And that insulin acts like a key. It goes to the cells in the muscles and liver, knocks on the receptors, and those cellular doors just swing open. Glucose flows right in, efficiently. Used for energy, stored properly. After 2 hours, you check their blood sugar. It's perfect. Maybe 70 to 100 milli-GDL. The key is it doesn't spike. Their body handles it exactly like it's supposed to.
Right. Smooth process.
Now let's bring in person B. This person's metabolic picture is quite different. They might be overweight, have high cholesterol, high triglycerides, maybe they're diabetic, definitely insulin resistant, have fatty liver. Uric acid might be high. They could be on meds like metformin, maybe even insulin. And the crucial part, they do have that fat buildup inside their liver and muscle cells.
Okay, so the opposite profile, metabolically speaking.
Precisely. So when person B eats those same grapes, their pancreas produces insulin, maybe even a lot of it. But when that insulin tries to open the doors on the liver and muscle cells, they don't open. In fact, they kind of slam shut because they're already gummed up with fat, so the glucose can't get in.
So it gets stuck.
It gets stuck in the bloodstream. And that's why their blood sugar spikes. That's why, like the sources say, even mango makes this person sick. So this brings us to the absolute core concept here. The problem isn't the fruit. The problem lies in the metabolic conditions under which a person eats that fruit. Unprocessed, whole fruit is naturally high in fiber, both kinds, soluble and insoluble. And that fiber protects the sugar, slows it down.
Wow, okay, that really slips the script for a lot of people, I think. So the main message is, if eating fruit makes your glucose jump, you need to look at your own metabolic health first, not just blame the apple or the banana.
Exactly.
It really makes you ask that question, doesn't it? If fruit has so much sugar, why aren't all fruit eaters getting diabetes?
It's a great question, because they're not, generally.
And building on that, our sources actually pointed to one specific fruit as being, well, kind of a superstar in all this, the mango. They literally called it the best of the best for people managing glucose.
Yes, the mango. And there's a specific compound in it that's getting a lot of attention. It's called mangiferin. Mangiferin.
Mangiferin.
Okay. And the medical studies our sources cited shows some, frankly, amazing benefits for this compound. First off, it actually helps lower blood glucose levels directly. How? By partly inhibiting how much glucose your intestine absorbs from the mango itself. It slows it down right at the start.
Activist.
But that's not all. It also acts as a really potent antioxidant. So it protects your cells from damage caused by unstable molecules, free radicals. It's also anti-inflammatory, which helps calm down body-wide inflammation, a big factor in metabolic problems.
Okay, antioxidant, anti-inflammatory.
And it gets better. Studies show it has anti-carcinogenic properties. It seems to inhibit tumor cell growth and spread in some contexts. Plus, it's neuroprotective, showing potential benefits for brain health, maybe even in conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And maybe most relevant to our chat today, mangiferin seems to improve insulin sensitivity and glucose tolerance. Remember, person B's sticky cell doors? Mangiferin helps make them more responsive to insulin again. Which means, as the sources put it quite nicely, the mango makes the pancreas rest. Your pancreas doesn't have to pump out nearly as much insulin to get the job done.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So it helps manage sugar absorption.
Yeah.
A and D helps the body use insulin better. But hang on, I can hear people thinking, okay, that sounds great, but why does my glucose still go up when I eat mango? What are we missing?
Yeah, that's the logical question. And the answer, again, usually isn't the mango itself. It's often the other stuff. Let's be blunt, the garbage food that might be eaten around the same time or just part of the regular diet. We're talking fried foods, processed foods full of refined flours,
Right.
bread, pizza, that kind of thing, and all those added sugars lurking everywhere. Those are the things that cause the fat to build up in the liver and muscles, creating that insulin resistance in the first place. So the mango arrives, but the body system is already jammed up.
So the mango gets blamed. But it's the background noise, the overall diet, that's the real issue.
Precisely.
That makes sense. You know, it's fascinating. One source mentioned that in the U.S., you can actually buy mangiferin pills, specifically marketed for diabetics.
Right.
But why pop a pill when you can just eat the delicious mango and get all those other benefits too? The fiber, the vitamins.
Exactly my thought. Eat the whole food. And our sources suggest eating fruit, especially mango if you like it, is often best in the morning.
Good tip. And does it matter if the mango is super ripe or a bit less ripe?
Apparently not significantly. All types, ripe or greener, are beneficial mainly because of that crucial fiber content. The fiber's always there.
Okay, fiber again. Keeps coming back to that.
It really does. So the practical solution here, the way to enjoy fruit without those worrying glucose spikes, it comes down to fixing the underlying problem. You need to remove the fat from the liver and muscle, as the sources say, clean out the system. Once you do that, the glucose can get into the cells properly, like in person A. It doesn't get stuck in the bloodstream.
And how do we do that? What causes that fat buildup?
Well, the sources point to a few main culprits. No big surprises here, really. Number one, fried foods. Think French fries, fried chicken, anything deep fried. Number two, refined flours. We're talking white bread, pizza dough, pastries, tamales, burger buns, that sort of thing. And number three, sugar. Specifically added sugar. The kind poured into processed foods, sodas, candy, even some sauces and yogurts.
The usual suspects for poor health, basically.
Pretty much. And here's a number that really puts it into perspective. Your liver has a limited capacity for processing sugar at any one time. It can comfortably handle about 25 grams.
25 grams? That doesn't sound like much.
It's not. Think about it. 2 cups of milk. That already has about 26 grams of lactose, which is milk sugar.
Wow.
Or a single glass of standard orange juice. You're easily looking at 25, maybe 30 grams of sugar right there.
So it's incredibly easy to overload the liver without even realizing it.
Very easy. And when the liver gets overwhelmed with sugar, what does it do? It converts the excess into fat, specifically triglycerides, and stores it. Some stays in the liver, contributing to fatty liver, and some get sent out, potentially ending up in muscle cells too.
Which then leads back to that insulin resistance problem. It's a cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
Okay, so avoiding those culprit foods is key. And on the positive side, emphasizing whole fruit. You keep mentioning fiber.
Absolutely crucial. Eat the whole fruit. That natural fiber packaging is nature's way of delivering the sugar slowly and safely.
And you mentioned eating the peel on things like apples.
Yes. If the peel is edible, like on apples, pears, peaches, definitely eat it. Just wash it well first. Maybe a little scrub with baking soda or vinegar and water can help remove residues.
What about fruits where you can't eat the peel? Like, say, a granadilla or a prickly pear, also called tuna.
Nature's clever. In those cases, the fiber is often right there in the seeds inside. Think about passion fruit or pomegranate, too. And let's bust a myth while we're here. Eating those small seeds does not cause appendicitis. That's an old wives' tale. If anything, appendicitis is more often linked to a lack of fiber, especially from diets high in processed foods and meat, which can cause blockages and inflammation down there.
Good to clarify. So fiber, fiber, fiber. What about exercise? Does that help?
Oh, exercise is definitely beneficial for overall metabolic health, no question. It helps muscles use glucose. But, as one source put it, exercise often cannot go against everything we eat. You can't really out-exercise a consistently bad diet that's constantly overloading your liver and causing insulin resistance. Diet is foundational.
Diet first. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And this whole fiber point leads perfectly into another huge aha moment from the sources. The difference between whole fruit and, say, fruit juice.
Yes, this is critical. Let's use that apple example again based on a study they highlighted. Scenario 1. You eat a whole apple, skin and all. Your blood glucose rises gently, maybe hits around 90 mg/dL. Then it gradually comes back down, but it stays in a healthy range, say above 65. Your pancreas releases a normal amount of insulin. And because of the fiber, the sugar release is slow and controlled. You don't get that horrible crash afterwards, that reactive hypoglycemia.
Okay, smooth curve, protected by fiber.
Exactly. Scenario 2. You drink the equivalent amount of apple juice, or even blended fruit, like in a smoothie where the fiber is pulverized. What happens? Glucose spikes like a rocket, as the source described it. It shoots way up, really fast.
Oh.
Your pancreas basically panics. It senses this massive sugar dump and releases a huge surge of insulin to try and deal with it quickly. And that massive insulin surge works almost too well. It shoves the glucose out of the blood so fast that your blood sugar then crashes severely. It can plummet down to 50 mg/dL or even lower.
Yikes. That's hypoglycemia, feeling shaky, weak.
Exactly. Intense hunger, weakness, maybe dizziness, not pleasant. But there's another consequence too. That big crash indirectly raises your triglycerides.
How does that work?
Well, your body senses that sudden, alarming drop in energy, low blood sugar. As a defense mechanism, and because there was so much sugar floating around just moments before, the liver ramps up the conversion of any excess sugar and potentially other energy sources into triglycerides, a stable form of stored energy to try and safeguard fuel reserves. So let's be crystal clear. The whole fruit itself per se does not raise triglycerides. It's the juice or the blended fruit without the protective fiber structure that causes that dramatic spike and crash effect, which then indirectly triggers the body to produce more triglycerides.
That is such an important distinction. So many people think juice is healthy.
It's liquid sugar, essentially, without the natural breaks.
Okay, and what about the green juice trend? People putting kale and spinach, but maybe also apple and pineapple in there?
Good question. The advice from these sources was pretty clear. If you're doing green juices, stick to only green vegetables. Celery, cucumber, kale, spinach, parsley, fine. If you absolutely feel you need to add fruit for taste, limit it strictly to low sugar berries like raspberries or blackberries. Avoid adding high sugar fruits like apples, pineapples, or oranges to your green juices if your goal is stable blood sugar.
Got it. Veggies mostly, maybe a few berries. Keep the sugar load low. All right, let's shift gears slightly. We had some specific questions come up from listeners based on the source material. Ready for a quick round?
Let's do it.
Okay, first one. Watermelon and bananas. Still worried about those.
Same principle applies. If eating watermelon or banana causes a big glucose spike for you, it's a strong signal that your metabolic machinery isn't working optimally. It's reflecting the underlying insulin resistance or fatty liver issue. Interestingly, for metabolically healthy people, bananas can sometimes even slightly lower blood sugar because of their resistant starch and fiber. But for someone with metabolic issues, yeah, they can cause a spike. It depends on the person.
It always comes back to the individual's metabolic state.
Okay.
Next, yogurt. Good or bad?
Depends entirely on the type. Plain natural yogurt, especially Greek yogurt or kefir, is generally great. Why? Because the fermentation process actually consumes a lot of the natural milk sugar, lactose.
The bacteria eat the sugar.
Pretty much. But the problem is industrial yogurts, the flavored ones, the low-fat ones where they add sugar back for taste. Those are often loaded with added sugar and should generally be avoided if you're watching glucose. Read the label carefully.
Always read the label. Good advice.
Ah.
Okay, stevia. Many people use it as a sugar substitute.
Stevia can be a good option if you get the right kind. Look for pure stevia extract. The ingredient should list steviol glycosides or stevia rebaudiana. Be careful with blends. A lot of
Ah,
products mix stevia with other things like maltodextrin, dextrose, erythritol, or even artificial sweeteners like sucralose. Those additives can sometimes affect glucose or gut health for some people. Go for pure if you can.
pure stevia. Got it. How about specific health conditions? Fruit for kidney insufficiency.
Mango is generally considered okay, according to the sources. But caution is needed with bananas because they are high in potassium, and potassium levels often need careful monitoring in kidney disease. It depends on the individual's specific lab results, like potassium and chloride levels. Always check with your doctor or dietitian.
Makes sense. What about for cancer patients? Any recommendations?
The sources suggested focusing on fruits rich in antioxidants and color. Think red, orange, or yellow fruits. They also specifically mentioned green apples, blackberries, often called mora in Spanish-speaking regions, and Indian gooseberry, which is also known as AMLA. These are packed with beneficial compounds.
Okay, and lastly, constipation.
Bananas were suggested as potentially helpful, likely due to their fiber and prebiotic content, which can support gut health.
Great, thanks for clearing those up.
You bet.
So let's bring this all together. You mentioned the medical center highlighted in the sources. They had a really high success rate.
Yes, quite remarkable. They reported an 87% success rate in helping patients significantly reduce or even eliminate their glucose-lowering medications. And these patients were then able to eat fruit at will without detrimental spikes.
Wow, 87%. How? What's the secret?
No secret, really. It's exactly what we've been discussing. Their approach focuses intensively on removing the excess fat from the liver and muscle. They use targeted dietary changes, cutting out those harmful processed foods, refined flours, added sugars, and fried things we talked about. By doing that, they allow the pancreas to rest because the body becomes sensitive to insulin again. Less insulin is needed, blood glucose levels normalize even when eating fruit because the body's natural sugar processing system is working correctly again. It's about restoring normal function.
So it's not about restricting fruit forever. It's about fixing the body's ability to handle the fruit.
That's the core message. Heal the metabolism, enjoy the fruit.
That is such an empowering perspective. The path to enjoying fruit, and honestly to better health overall, isn't necessarily through avoiding these wonderful natural foods. It's really about addressing the root cause, our underlying metabolic health, which is often damaged by, let's face it, our modern diet.
Well said.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive, the key takeaways seem pretty clear. First, fruit itself isn't the enemy we sometimes make it out to be. Second, how your body reacts to the sugar in fruit is a direct reflection of your metabolic health. Fix the metabolism and the fruit becomes friendly again. Third, some fruits, like the amazing mango with its mangifrin, offer incredible science-backed health benefits beyond just vitamins. And fourth, always choose whole fruit over juice. That fiber is absolutely non-negotiable for healthy sugar processing.
Couldn't summarize it better.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. If simply changing what you eat, focusing on whole foods, and cutting out the processed stuff can unlock the natural power of foods like fruit and allow your body to effectively heal itself, what else might you be misunderstanding about your health and nutrition? What other possibilities might open up? We really encourage you to think about that and consider what steps you might be able to take starting today to improve your own metabolic health.